Project Zomboid is very good. It's an isometric spiral based building game designed for master kids, perfect for playing with the boys in between games. With pretty realistic systems and overall fairly challenging, at least at first, since it does take some time to get used to the clunk of the game as it's a decade older and programmed on Lua. It runs fine, it could run on Apollo 11, but the boot times for both saves and game take a bit more so of mods. Other than that, it's fine. The game does have a bit of a learning curve, but at the same time, a lot of the systems are realistic and therefore actually quite intuitive. But do yourself a favor and look at the wiki. There is no shame, it's just going to improve your experience. And when you go to open the character creation screen and wonder what does what, the game is already hard enough. Just make it a bit easier so you know what you're looking at and just go to the wiki. I recommend something with fitness as it gives more endurance, and even if you don't want to take on a group of zombies, running from them or just getting around, it's pretty useful. It also takes a while to gain more. And once you get past the learning curve, as well as just keep trying at the many depths and hopefully getting better in the process, the learning of the game is really enjoyable. Let's talk negatives because there isn't much I don't like about the game. The camera you can't rotate, which depending on the angles can make things really cringe and end up you getting bit, or in a car going over 100 down a highway, and not only can you see less, the game isn't rendering the shit in front of you fast enough that you could also be because I was playing mostly with a friend who runs off a $300 laptop, so maybe it's not much of an issue in single player. The camera can lead to an issue at depth perception, which matters quite a bit because a missed attack can easily lead to you getting bit. With more experience, I've gotten better at dodging as well as aiming, and the whole missing can probably be attributed to my inexperience and panic. But that's it. Oh, and the game looks like this, but honestly, that kind of adds a charm for me. Combat, once you get good at it, is pretty satisfying as the game has pretty good crunch sounds and gives you a good feel for the weight of just caving a skull in. And curb stopping zombies, also blood splatter all over the place, including yourself and weapon. I might say this. I mean, we're not people. Anyway, you get a little aiming reticle thinking, and aiming good makes me happy. Zomboid does something really well, which always makes me fool masses world-based gameplay. This game is greatly enhanced when playing with friends for this reason, but the game has what almost is always the best way to do a skill system, which is doing the action makes you better at it. Cars are pretty nice to safely travel around to carry more stuff, and the map is fairly large and major locations are pretty far from each other, so having someone who's good at mechanics to repair the engine or suspension or brake pads is just, good to have one. Need to repair the body of the car. If someone is good at metalworking, there you go, and you can make metal fortifications. They're often the same person since the skills kind of go hand in hand. Have someone good at first aid so you know what's wrong with you because your dumbass only feels pain but doesn't know what's exactly up. Then having a person who can figure out what's wrong with you and also have a steady hand to stitch you up or remove broken glass from inside of you. Or maybe you need smash goals, or maybe be able to be a pack mole. Zomboid allows for a lot of different playstyles, and it's good for going alone so you don't need all these skills and kind of do what you want. I also like when games are base building. One, don't make one to gouge my eyes out when placing things, and two, have interaction with pre-existing structures. You can barricade windows with planks, hold them shut, do things like put curtains up with covers on windows so zombies can't see into your base, and more. Game overall has realistic systems like exercise, depending on your protein intake and overall diet can improve how well you exercise, which yes you can, and it actually makes you sore corresponding to whatever exercise you did. So if you did push-ups, do all body and squats lower. Your character can become so depressed that they become depressed to the point of basically being suicidal, as your character just do most things slower, which will increase the chance of getting killed. The medical system works how you would think. If you got injured, depending on your injury, you may need stitches or splint, and it's good at effects so you don't have to deal with, dying, and would be a real bitch way to die to a non-zombie related way. Which is the other thing, if zombie bites or scratches you can become infected. Emphasis on that you can, as I got bit injured many times and one of my characters has been fine, but while also needed to put down to my friends. But try what the game doesn't tell you. I was always nervous and shit because my character was trying to kick both a smoking injury and addiction, which symptoms of zombie infection is getting a first temperature increase, although you could be hot from moving around or wearing a bunch of clothing / heavy clothing. After 3 hours you get anxious and then queasy, and it will get progressively worse, so depending on other factors, for the first 3 hours to a day you could not know if you really affected. Now, at first, I didn't even like getting the whole effect and it being doomed, but you can turn it off in the game settings. I'm going to change a bunch of other things. The experience is highly customizable, and this is added by the great modding community. And also playing a game more, once you know what you're doing, you can progress fairly easy, and it's a game where doing new playthroughs is sometimes funner than the late game, and you can still go to loot your body. Also, thinking about the whole this is how you died and the start of the game, most other zombie stories, there's some like grand purpose of thing going on or whatever. Like another issue with the game is, which plagues other Star games, is late game once you have a vehicle, food source, secure base, really anything you need to survive, basically forever. What's the point? Summer actually has some really rich ambient storytelling that added upon from the incredible fitting soundtrack that I had off from most playthrough because I really want to hear out for zombies and other things around me. But I recommend after getting more comfortable, just like turn it on, listening to it. It really just adds to the experience. This is how you die, and I only really got that when I actually was writing the script. Maybe I'm looking too much into it or whatever, but I think it's it's just a little bit extra thing that kind of adds to the enjoyment of the game for me. The developers are also assholes. There's something called a metagame, which will play random sounds to make zombies migrate to places you are, as well as you just be chilling and all of a sudden you just hear someone shooting a gat, and when you get surprised by a zombie, the game feels necessary to jump scare you with the loudest violin you ever heard. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There was more to the game that I mentioned here, but I said what I thought was relevant. But to summarize, Zomboid is an in-depth, intuitive, realistic skill system that gives you a reason to do things in the game with satisfying combat. Overall challenging but fair gameplay that can offer hundreds of hours of gameplay is getting somewhat regularly updated, and only for $20 I highly recommend. Really any game on Steam that is overall positive usually is for a reason. I recommend playing with at least one friend, but by yourself is great as well. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate it, and hopefully you end up enjoying the game if you decide to get it. Bye now.